just give us some, I guess, kind of outlook and expectations when it comes to Beijing's push for a cleaner future, better quality growth, and what that means for solar demand and green energy demand.
I think the growth of solar sectors will continue in China with the latest announcement of second batch of top runner and the super top runner cities, and also the dramatic rising of the DG sector. Given the recent liberalization of a market with a pilot program for direct trade of energy. China is expected to install a record of 60 gigawatts capacity in 2017. The distributed solar will account for 1/3 of the installations. So China's original plans of 100 gigawatts solar installed by 2020 will be met as early as next year. But it still accounts only 1% in its energy mix. If China intends to increase the percentage from 1% to 6% by the year 2030, I think their pace should be faster rather than slow down. So we are very optimistic about the potential of the domestic market. I think the next year. Yes.
Dany, I just wanted to jump in and point out, we've been here before, right? Like, I remember when we had those heavy subsidies, the initiatives from the government to really boost these solar companies. And then we saw this problem of massive overcapacity and the subsequent sort of come down. Is that something that you see, or do you see that sort of demand and supply side rebalancing a bit more stable or a bit more, I guess, fundamentals driven this time?
I think with the decline of subsidy in China, there is still opportunity for the solar manufacturers, because that in the future, with the market is open, then the solar will be still competitive, because the electricity price will have consist of two parts. One is the generation cost, the other is the transmission and the distribution costs. So solar is the only type of the renewable that can be distributed, generated. So it will flat or even decline the value of the grid. So that, for example, that last year we quote 2.42 cents in Abu Dhabi. The price can work in Abu Dhabi, it can work in China as well, in case all the preconditions are the same. So we think the decline of the subsidy is a trend, but it will not slow down the development of solar in China, I think.
Dany, we're just getting this, one forecast out from the CEO of Trina saying that solar panel prices could fall 40% by 2025. Is this the kind of supply and demand rebalancing that you see over the next 10 years, 5 to 10 years?
Yes, I think the supply and demand will be balanced autonomously, and especially with the further decline of the solar power price, and also it will improve the returns of solar power stations. So I think in a long term, the supply and the demand will be balanced.
What sort of, I guess, government involvement do you see when it comes to the Chinese market in particular? Because, coming out from the 19th Party Congress, it's clear there's going to be a drive towards greener energy. Do we know what kind of policies that's likely to be involved?
For example, I think there's a lot of the policy in favor of solar, including the green finance, green certificates, the world's largest cap and trade programs, etc. Also, the improved infrastructure, like the ultra-high voltage transmission line to solve the problem of curtailment, and as well as the tightened regulation, legislation enforcement of polluters. So this, in case that all this policy is implemented, I think China's central government will be decisive to take real actions to pull down the coal power percentage in its energy mix.
Dany, you were a representative during the Paris Climate Accord negotiations. I'm curious to get your views about the US stepping back and withdrawing from the accord. Do you see China really being able to step up in terms of taking a global leadership role when it comes to climate change and transforming, I guess, more traditional industries of energy?
There's a lot of negative comments on the U.S. pull back from the Paris Accord. We think it gives China an opportunity to fulfill these replacements, that we can lead the world in the sustainability development. So no matter whether the U.S. administration's decision, that by 2030, the total global investments in renewable infrastructure will reach to $6 trillion. The demand is tremendously huge. I think any government who cares so much about the job will not ignore these opportunities. So we believe that U.S. will change their mind now.